Real thoughts, real trades, real journey. A video journal documenting the lessons learned on my journey to becoming a disciplined trader. Welcome to Trading the Journey. I'm Neil, and today I want to share a trade that taught me one important lesson. Let's see what the market had to teach me. So this is yesterday's trade. I entered in and I got stopped out almost on the next candle. It was really 2 candles later. My bias was bearish for the day. Based on the structure of the market, I felt like it was going to be a bearish day. This was the overall trend that's on the 2-minute market, 2-minute chart, and the overall trend on the daily chart, which was this. And you can see it's kind of following the same structure as over here, where it pulled back and then started making new all-time highs. So I was thinking it was going to go a little bit further down, and it didn't. Now, throughout the day, I missed a very nice fence trade. I was paying attention, but I wasn't paying attention. It was just something about the way it played out that something didn't trigger. And so I missed getting in. This was the candle that I should have gotten in on right here. I waited on this candle. Even though this candle closed outside the fence, I waited because it was an indecision candle and I didn't know which direction it was going. I should have entered in on this candle when it broke the low of the day and traded that. And it was a clear winner by the rules. And I didn't get in. I hesitated. I froze. I didn't know what to do. And clearly it went down a lot. And it decided to consolidate a little bit. And here, when I thought it was going to go down a little bit further, it didn't. It turned out, it just turned out not to be the right play. And, 2-3 bars later, there was a power bar right here. It took out recent high, the recent swing highs right there, and it went up more before it consolidated and came back down. For a little while there, I was getting bored waiting on a play. A little bit of frustration maybe set in. But it just, I don't know what I was thinking at that time. I thought this was a good play. This was definitely a power bar play that didn't work out. It definitely followed the rules. It cleared swing low, recent swing lows. You can see a couple of pullbacks there that didn't amount to anything. So it was close to the 20 SMA. I mean, it was clear that I got in on that. And like I said, it just didn't work out. Strong candle close to the downside, clears a swing low for the past 40 minutes. I didn't force it, but frustrated, I took a good trade and it just didn't work. It stopped me out cold and continued to go up, with the next 2 candles there. Would have stopped me out even if I put my stop at the 20 SMA. I'm a little frustrated at this. Mostly at not getting in on the trade earlier, way back here. So I need to learn when it fits, it fits. Indecision candles are kind of iffy for me to get on. One candle a couple months ago was an indecision candle, and then it did the same thing. It cleared, the high of that indecision candle. It was an uptrend. It cleared the high. I never got in on it, and so I decided to play the next two, and lost both those trades. And it's not often that I see this kind of play. The next two were losers. Obviously, I should have waited instead of getting in on the indecision candle. Wait and see what the next candle does. So I need to learn. I just need to learn a proper time to get in when it's necessary. Even though, if I had gotten in on this candle, I would have been stopped out. But since this cleared the candle, that was an entry. But I not every play has to work out. I was fine with this trade because it fit the bill. It fit. It fit the play. And so did the candle that crossed above the 20 SMA. But I had closed it down for the day. I was frustrated and didn't feel like trading. So the lesson here is you may not get another play if you don't take the trade when it fits. That second test of the fence and it failed was a clear sign that I should have taken the trade regardless of whether it worked or not. You miss 100% of the trades you don't take. And I clearly needed the data to show, what I'm doing. But that's the name of the game. And I clearly waited the next couple of hours to see if there was a play. Got a play, and this one didn't work. It almost kind of double bottomed and went up. But I had other things to do, and I didn't want to stay in. I didn't want to stay in and see if others worked out. I could have taken another trade and didn't. But like I said, frustrated, shut it down, done for the day. Thank you for joining me for today's lesson. The market has voted. Today's lesson is written. I hope something from today's trade helps you on your own journey towards becoming a more disciplined trader. If today's trade reminded you of something you've experienced yourself, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective and what you think. If you enjoyed today's journal entry, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button on the video and subscribe to follow the journey. Until next time, real thoughts, real trades, real journey.